isn't it everyone's dream to move to New Zealand, buy a camper, tour around with your dogs, even better, just you and your wife going around the country, enjoying this beautiful land of New Zealand?
We're like, why furnish an entire apartment full of stuff that we eventually are going to sell so that we can size down into a camper van, knowing that we had just done something similar by sizing down to come here? Why are we going to collect a bunch of stuff again just to do the same process again in a couple of years? So we started looking into camper vans and saying, can we afford to buy one and live in that?
In this week's episode, you're going to meet Rachael. Rachael has moved over to New Zealand with her wife. She is studying at Massey University, and she recorded this podcast episode from the back of her camper that she now calls home. Let's jump on in and find out how life for Rachael and Cole is turning out in New Zealand. NZAhead, coming to you from Taranaki, New Zealand. Rachael, welcome to the podcast. I am thrilled to have you here with me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And I've got to say, before we start this interview, you are the first ever person to record a podcast interview with me sitting in the back of your house in a car park in New Zealand. But before we get on to where you're living and why you're sitting in a car park, tell me about who you are and where your family, where you've come from, and then we'll dive into your story about you moving to New Zealand.
You got it. I'm Rachael. I'm living in New Zealand with my partner, Cole. We moved here from the United States. We most recently lived in the United States in Washington State, up towards Vancouver. Well, not towards Vancouver, the state close to Vancouver, Canada. We moved to New Zealand mid-February. I'm going to school. My partner, Cole, is working in Auckland, and we are just excited to be here.
Yeah, very excited to have you here. So you came on a student visa, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Originally, I was planning on getting my accounting degree in the US, and moving to New Zealand was like a 5-year plan. I'd get my degree over there, and then I would look for an accredited employer over here, hopefully find a job, move over, do that. But things started to develop in the United States. If you're up on politics, you know, things are a little uncertain over there. So we started exploring our options of how we could move that timeline up, and found out about the student visa. And it just seemed brilliant to instead get my degree here within the country, because our goal is to stay long term. And then that could hopefully help me find a job a little bit easier, build a network over here, have a degree from an accredited university within the country, things like that. So I started applying to a couple of different colleges around the North Island. I applied to Victoria University, Massey, Auckland Tech, few different places, and it was just, you know, a waiting game to see where we got in and where we wanted to go. And I got into Massey first, and they had 3 campuses, and I just really enjoyed my interaction with the staff at Massey. They were always very responsive, and as an international student, responsiveness and helpfulness is really important, because, you know, I'm going to have a lot of questions about my experience here. And so I ended up going with Massey. We were originally going to go to Palmerston North, and then I ended up changing my degree, my major, from accounting to construction, quantity surveying, and those courses were only offered in Auckland. So we ended up in Auckland, which was funny because at the time that was like, we want to go anywhere but Auckland because it's such a big city and we're not city folk. So, but it's actually turned out great over in Albany. It's away from the city aspect. It's very conveniently located. So we've actually ended up really liking it. It presented great opportunities for Cole to get a job. And so while it was our last on our list, it ended up being the perfect little spot for us so far.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking how old you are?
33.
33. Okay, spring
Yeah.
chicken then. Nice spring chicken.
I don't feel that way on a college campus. I'm the oldest of most groups I'm in.
Oh, really? Are
Yeah.
you?
I mean, most kids go to college straight out of high school, and I did that as well. It just took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I changed my major a lot. I changed schools a lot. So that just kind of prolonged my schooling. And I worked primarily. This is my first time that I'm going to school full time, and I'm not working currently. For the past 15 years, I've been going to school secondary. So I'll take one class at a time. So yeah, I was hanging out with a group of people the other day, and I was the elder of the group.
Oh, you're the mum.
But yeah, it's fine with me. I don't mind. I'm secure in my age. I'm happy and comfortable.
So, all right, I've got a ton of questions before because I want to know all about your life in New Zealand and your move and your home and things like that. But let's just go back to the States.
Mhm.
So you're working as an accountant in Washington, is that's right?
Yes, I was a revenue auditor for a casino in Washington.
Oh, I bet
So
that was
accounting,
exciting.
it was. I worked in gaming many years before that as well, and it's a very niche market, but it's interesting because there's so many different revenue streams. So I wasn't like a typical staff accountant. I was a little bit below that as a revenue auditor, but I got my hands on numbers and spreadsheets and all the things that I love, and I learned a lot, and it was a fun job. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it sounds fun. Rachel, do casinos make ton of money?
I mean, they are known to be very lucrative businesses.
I always wonder that. I'd love to be on the inside of a casino, and I just want to know because you watch all these films like the what I can't remember the names now, but the ones with Julia Roberts and stuff where
Hmm.
they go in and they do all the heists and stuff. And
Yeah.
I always think, God, I bet that would be a really exciting job to work behind the scenes in the casino. So yeah,
That was where I found out I worked at a poker room, so not technically a casino, but gaming related in Florida. And I actually worked in the vault. So I handled all the money, and that was really exciting. We would have world poker tours come, different, events that we would host, and just the amount of money that had my hands on over those years was always just mind-boggling that just
yeah,
seeing that much money in general. But yeah, it's a lucrative, the house wins more often than not. So
yeah, yeah,
it's a lucrative business for sure.
yeah. My dad always used to say to me, "You never." What did he say? Well, you used to have arcades in the UK, and he said you'd never see an arcade owner driving a crappy car, and you just like that was his way of telling me don't gamble. But anyway, so going back to you, so had you ever been to New Zealand before?
No, so that was the funny thing about it. Our original timeline being 5 years, we were going to come in 2025 on a vacation or holiday, as you call them, and come visit for a couple of weeks, scout it out. But that didn't end up working out. It wasn't worth the money to spend to come visit beforehand for us, given our pathway that we were taking over here. But uh, we're kind of a live on the edge kind of people. When we moved to the Pacific Northwest, we had never been to Washington State, Oregon, in that area. And we just took off and was like, well, if we don't like it, we'll go somewhere else. So
Yeah,
it's
I
kind of
love.
our MO just to wing it and see what happens.
Yeah, I love that attitude, and it's just I think that's a great attitude to have. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just come back, or we'll just
Hmm.
do something else. It's
Yeah,
it's so freeing to feel like that, isn't it? It really
yeah,
is. I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm losing a little bit of that, but I'm fighting to keep it because I love
yeah.
it so much. So, okay, so you're wanting to come to New Zealand. So it's funny because I've just done an interview with Fabian, one of our
Hmm.
immigration advisors, and we were talking about this visa. So,
Hmm.
Cole, you came over on the student visa, so you had to
Hmm.
find somewhere to study,
Hmm.
get a visa, and tell me about Cole's visa. How did she come over as your partner? Is she your wife, or are you married?
Yeah, yes, we are
Yeah.
married.
So how did she come over as your wife?
There's a partner of a student visa. There's a partner of a student non-working visa and work visa. So we applied for the work visa. On a student visa, I can only work for 20 hours a week, which is enough to pay some bills, but not enough to sustain life. So we really needed Cole to get a work visa. So that was the route we took. It requires a little bit more. Well, I actually don't know how much it requires more than the visitor, but we had to have medical exams and background checks and all of that stuff done. But it worked out because now Cole has a job and we can live this life we've set up for ourselves on one income for now, and gives me time to focus on school and not have to worry about work too much. And we get to travel and do all the things that we love. So
yeah, you're doing a lot of traveling, aren't you?
yeah.
Yeah. And again, I think that's absolutely wonderful because so many people come to New Zealand and this is inevitable. You get a job, you get a life, the kids go to school, and you just end up seeing hardly any of the country. So I love that you're really making that effort to just to explore and travel around and see things.
Well, prior to coming over here, we had moved to the Pacific Northwest, and it's also a very beautiful area of the country. And we delved into our work head first. We worked for the first few years, 7 days a week, didn't take days off. It was an online company, so there was always moving parts. I was in customer service, Cole was in social media. So we were always really busy, and we didn't take any time really to travel and do things. And that was our own fault. There's no one to blame but us. But we wanted to make sure that we didn't do that when we came here. We're like, work is not necessarily secondary because it's a means of life, but it's not the priority right now. We spent a lot of time working on our careers, building up our skills, doing all of these things, and now we're just kind of taking it slower and living life a little bit more for the time being until I graduate, and then I'm sure it's going to be back headfirst into the career.
Oh, I bet it will. It will, but you'll go to it differently. I think you'll come to it from a different mindset.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's really a healthy attitude to have as well, just to be able to just put the brakes on a little bit and say, right, no, let's put some priorities in place. So that's fantastic that you're doing that. Were you scared about moving to New Zealand? Because I mean, having, never been, and you were just putting it off for 5 years, and now all of a sudden, okay, let's just go. What was the scariest thing about doing what you were doing? Or was it scary? I don't know.
You are here because you love New Zealand.
You might be moving to New Zealand,
living in New Zealand, or you might just spend your days dreaming of visiting this gorgeous country. Because we love New Zealand as much as you do, we have compiled a short and very unique 5-day video series showcasing life in New Zealand, what it's really like. These videos are real, they are exclusive, and best of all, they're absolutely free. So if you would like to view New Zealand from the inside out and find out what life is really like down here, sign up now, and every day for 5 days we will send you a personal 3-minute video showcasing some brilliant aspect of life in New Zealand. You are gonna love it. Go to www.itsadrama.com/ILoveNZ. We can't wait to share those videos with you. Okay, let's get back on with the show.
I always say, because people come to the Slack group often with an array of emotions, and I always try to validate them because there's no emotion that is right or wrong. And I am not typically a big feeler of a person. I'm very black and white, and I live a lot in reality. I don't get too caught up in, my feelings about things. But as I get older, that has changed a lot. So I felt something different every single day. One day I'm terrified about whether Cole's going to be able to get a job. One day I'm terrified of staying in the United States and what's happening over there. We had issues with our dogs coming over for a minute, and there was just a lot. Every day brought a new challenge that came with a new emotion that I had to feel and experience. I was able to take a few weeks off of work. I quit my job in mid-January, preparing for a move in mid-February. So it gave me a lot of downtime. And with that came a lot of time just being alone with my feelings. And I got scared a lot of like, what happens if we don't like it over there? Or what happens if we don't fit in, or we can't find jobs, and we don't have like a big families in the States, but still you've built friends and you've built networks, and people, you have people to fall back on. Coming here, we had no safety net essentially. But I was more scared to stay in the US than I was to come to a new country at the point that we had gotten to. So it was more battling that, it's not happening fast enough to get out of here and come over there, or to get to New Zealand. But yeah, it was more scared to stay than it was to try something new at that point for us.
Okay. And how did your family take you up in and leaving to the other side of the world?
Um, my family's not a big emotional people either, so I don't know exactly how. I know my mom was sad. She came out and visited us in the Pacific Northwest before we left and stayed for a little while and hung out. So that was nice to get that time with her. I went and saw my dad and my little sister for her college graduation in December before we left. But yeah, we're not big emotive people. So I'm sure they're sad, but we all just kind of like, well, that's Rachael. She's gonna go live her life. So
Yeah.
but
Is Cole emotional?
yes, more than I am for sure.
Right. I was just comparing you because I was thinking like Brian, he's the same. He's just like, what's the problem? Like, this is our life and our family and this is us and then we're doing us, whereas I'm like, I'm going to leave them and it's all going to be really sad. So it's funny, isn't it? How you have that balance in a relationship.
Definitely. Yes.
It's so lovely that, yeah. So yeah. Okay. So carry on. So
yeah, the family, I mean, they all took it well. I think it was a little bit of a surprise. I was most scared to tell my dad for some reason, and he was, super supportive and was like, yeah, of course, why not go live in another country? We don't have kids, we don't have, a lot of ties. So he was like, that sounds like a great experience. Go for it. And I was like, oh, why was I so scared to tell you? And of course, I told my mom right off the bat, like she knew it was a thing that we were thinking about doing long term. So it didn't come as a major surprise to her. I think more so it's just like her only daughter is, really far, 12.5-hour flight away. And but I'm confident she'll come visit us.
Yeah, she will. And it's only 12.5 hours away. At least it's not 24. It's only 12. Look at it like that.
Exactly. And there's a couple places you can go to and get nonstop flights. So she'll make it over here. I'm sure of it. I told my dad and my little sister at her graduation, they have 3 years to figure out how to get to New Zealand for my graduation.
Yeah. So what was I just going to ask you then? So you've your dogs. Did you bring your dogs? Oh no, I was gonna, before we talk about your dogs, I was going to say, were you renting in the US or did you own property?
We bought a house in 2022 because again, this was I don't even know if we were thinking about New Zealand in 2022. It was a long-term plan. So we had a house. We loved our house. That was a really hard thing to leave behind. We'd bought this property and we had this nice, cute little house on it that was built in the 1940s. She had a lot of character, and that was really hard to give that up and know that we probably won't be homeowners over here for a very long time. But we also took that opportunity to try something new when we get to our living situation in a little bit. But yeah, we had a house and we sold it.
Okay, so you sold your house, and did you sell all your stuff or did you bring all your stuff with you?
No, we sold everything. We priced out a container of like what that would look like, but when we moved to the Pacific Northwest, we bought all of our furniture. We bought it from IKEA. It moved several times over those 6 years, and it was all kaput at that point. Like our bed, we said when we moved it into our house, this is the last time this bed's going to be able to be put back together. So we were like, our furniture's not really worth anything at this point. We're minimalists at heart, so we hadn't really collected a lot of very valuable things. So when we saw the cost of a container, we were like, no, that's not worth it for us. So we packed everything in suitcases and came over with 6 suitcases, 2 carry-on duffel bags, and 2 backpacks. So altogether 10 bags, and that brought our entire life in it.
How much did it cost you, if you don't mind me asking you, to bring 10 bags on a plane? Because I like to think about, what it compares to, because lots of people do this now, don't they? So I'm just going to put it in a suitcase. Can you remember how much it cost?
It was $600 to check the 6 bags. It was $100 per bag.
That's all right.
It wasn't, I was a little mad because I thought 2 checked bags were included in our tickets. So that was my only gripe, was I was like, wait. But yeah, $600 to move all of our stuff
Oh,
Felt like a win
bargain.
to me.
Bargain. That is a
Especially
huge
when I see
win.
people spending 10, 15, $20,000 on containers. And those
Yeah.
people obviously have nice furniture and, the cost of rugs and things like that, just things that cost good amounts of money. We didn't have that. And moving into a camper, we didn't need all of that. So it was like, like we can leave it behind. It's fine. But getting rid of, you know, even just living in our house for 2 years, we realized how much stuff we had collected, and getting rid of that was a daunting task,
Mm.
paring down to 6 suitcases. And originally our plan was to only have four, two each. And by the time we got it all dwindled down, we were like, oh, we're gonna have to go to the Walmart and get some more suitcases because we don't have enough room for this stuff, and we've pared down as far as we could.
Yeah. I bet that felt good though, didn't it? Just getting down to 6 cases.
It does. It makes you really evaluate what you need
Yeah.
to survive and what's important to you, and going from there. And even when we got here, we stayed in an Airbnb for 10 days, and we even pared down further. We were like, okay, we've been here now. We know we don't need X, Y, and Z. We rearranged our clothes to be seasonal and things like that, so that we could rotate through. And yeah, it just really makes you think about what you really need to get
Mm.
by. So it's worked out.
What did you chuck out when you got there? When you said, oh, we chucked out that because we realized we didn't need it. What can you remember what it was?
No, just, I mean, we had like one suitcase that was just odds and ends things that we just kind of piled in, and just, I don't know. I don't even remember, but just random things that were like,
Yeah.
why did we think we needed this? And
Yeah.
even clothes, you think about clothes and you think you need so much, and then you get here and you're like, wow, I really wear the same 5 shirts most of the time. Do I really need 15, 20 shirts? So,
It's so true. It's so true. I know. I think that. I look at my wardrobe and I'm like, why have you got all these clothes? You wear the same clothes every day. Like
yeah.
or every 4 days you change your clothes. It's like, oh, I don't know what that's all about. So going back to your dogs, what dogs are
hmm
they? What breed are they?
We have two long-haired dachshunds and a Shih Tzu.
Oh,
They're little
lovely.
cuties. They're sleeping on the bed over here right next to me, passed
Oh,
out. They are Chi Chi, our oldest, is 13, Cappy is 10, and Penny is 9.
and you brought them over with you.
We brought them over. That was
That
the most expensive and hardest part of the entire journey. Like Cole and I could have packed up and left in a couple of weeks' time, but the dogs took 6 months to prepare them to leave.
right.
And the costs and vet appointments and all the stuff that goes into that was the most difficult part of moving to New Zealand by far.
Right. Could you just not bear to leave them?
Absolutely not.
No.
They are our children. We don't plan to have children. We never have. And they're our babies. So when we saw that it was going to cost 20 to $25,000 to bring them here, we were like, well, we're not sending anybody to college. We're not, well, besides
Yeah.
me, but
Yeah.
like we don't have kids to send off to college. We don't have diapers to buy. There's a lot of expenses so for us, it was worth it. And I'm so glad they did. They are living their best little adventure lives over here. They get to go to beaches, and every time it's time to move the camper, they all get excited. They get in the front seat with us, and they're just pumped to see where are we going this time.
Oh,
So
I can
I'm
just
very
imagine
thankful we
it.
did it.
I can just imagine it. You and Cole and your 3 dogs going around New Zealand in your camper van.
Oh yeah,
It
it's the
sounds
best.
bliss. It does. It sounds bliss. So, okay. So how long did it take you to get from the minute you thought, oh, I don't want to stay in the US anymore. We want to make New Zealand happen now. How long was it before between that time and arriving, getting off the plane in Auckland?
So I want to say it was my birthday weekend. So early July was when we were talking to some friends and learned about the student visa and was like, oh, well, that's something we should look into. So that was when we were like, oh, we could move our timeline up sooner rather than later, early July. I started applying for school a couple of weeks later. I think I submitted my student visa the first time August 28th, I believe, somewhere like mid to late August. Um, and that's when we were like, okay, yeah, we're doing this thing. And then we landed mid-February. So
So started in July and landed mid. God, that's pretty quick,
yeah,
isn't it? And that
yeah,
includes getting all
seven.
the dogs sorted and everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
we would have been here sooner, but we had lapsed on their rabies vaccinations. And so they had to have those redone, and you have to wait 6 months from the time that they're vaccinated until you can travel. So the 6 month timeline was really because of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it took us that long. And then we landed February 15th, and I started school orientation that Monday. So Monday, February 17th. So we hit the ground running. Cole had a job interview that Monday, the 17th. And we just kind of just went with it.
Yeah.
Started doing all the things.
Where did you live? What did you do when you got there? What did you do? Where did you stay?
We rented an Airbnb for 10 days in Albany, near the campus, since we knew that I was going to have to go there. We started looking for a car. Knew we were going to have to get around. Cole was going to end up getting a job, was going to need to drive into town or drive into the city. So we did that, opened bank accounts, started looking for camper vans. We knew we wanted to live in a camper. So getting in, we had a rental car as well for the first 10 days to kind of help facilitate that. So Airbnb, rental car, and then we just started taking things off the to-do list, bank accounts, IRD numbers, gym memberships, cars, campers, just really stayed very busy in those first 10 days getting life in order. And we found a car, we found a camper van, and just in time, I think we got the camper on our 8th or 9th day in the Airbnb. We had the Airbnb for 10 days. So it gave us time to reorganize all of our stuff, move it into the camper that we had parked outside of the Airbnb. And then on the 10th day, we were like, and we live in a camper van now.
So you now live in a camper van.
Yes.
You know what? This is just falling into it's fallen into place so beautifully, isn't it? How did you know where to buy your camper van from? Where did you buy that from?
Oh, we had been on Trade Me for months prior to leaving. So we realized that long term, we wanted to live in a camper van. We knew when we were in the US, our retirement goal was to live in an RV and travel around the US. So this has been a life goal of ours forever. And then once I started looking into things in New Zealand, I realized camper vans are a dime a dozen over here. Y'all have them aplenty in New Zealand because so many people come over here on the working holiday visa. They buy a camper van, they travel around for 3 months, they sell it, they go back to their home country. And then New Zealand's infrastructure is set up so well for camper van living. There's dump stations, there's so many public toilets. You do not find public toilets in the US like you do here in New Zealand. You can just if you're on a car trip, you can stop and go to the bathroom and not have to go into a gas station or a restaurant or something like that. So many bathrooms in the US, you have to be a customer to use them. So being here and there's just clean public toilets on the side of the road frequently was shocking to us. But overall, there's, just the infrastructure in New Zealand is set up very well for camper vans. So we started getting on Trade Me and we were like, why furnish an entire apartment full of stuff that we eventually are going to sell so that we can size down into a camper van, knowing that we had just done something similar by sizing down to come here? Why are we going to collect a bunch of stuff again just to do the same process again in a couple of years? So we started looking into camper vans and saying, can we afford to buy one and live in that? And we did. We found one that it has its own bathroom, shower, stove, refrigerator. It's all solar, it's off grid. So we don't have to plug into electricity anywhere. So basically we took what would be 2 years worth of rent living in Albany and said, okay, this is what we would be paying on average per week. What does that look like over a year or two? And we were like, okay, that'll be our budget for a camper van. So we bought something higher end, ended up being about $55,000. And we were like, that's 2 years worth of rent. So if we stay living in it for 2 years, it's paid for itself at that point. And it also provides us the opportunity with dogs. I found out it's hard to find a rental property with dogs here. A lot of people are very accepting to cats, but not as much dogs. And not to mention we don't just have one dog, we have three dogs.
I was going to say,
so
yeah. You're pushing it a bit there, love.
yeah, exactly. And so that on top of the rent costs, and then our goal is to travel. So instead of, leaving our apartment or whatever unattended for 3 days at a time to go get an Airbnb or a hotel or a cabin somewhere else, we can just take our house with us to these places, and it'll save us on costs to travel as well. So it all just kind of came together of like, yeah, we're going to live in a camper van. And we lived in, I think what y'all would call a caravan. So something that you would tow behind a vehicle for 2 years in the US. We did that for 2.5 years. We were stationary. We lived at an RV park long term. We paid like a monthly rent there. We didn't go anywhere with it, but we had already lived in a tiny environment, and we knew it was something that we not only could live in, but we thrive in. So it was not new territory for us. It's a bit smaller than we're used to, but overall, it's been a great experience just to be able to, Cole works 4 10-hour shifts. And so Cole has Fridays off and I have Fridays off from school. So Cole comes home from work on Thursdays. I've got the camper buttoned up and ready to go, laundry done, tanks empty, water full, things like that. And we just hit the road and start driving and see where we're going to take off to. And then we come back Sunday, do laundry again, and set up for the week.
Can I come and live with you? Can I just come and have your life?
You got it.
It sounds flipping lovely. It sounds like everyone's dream what you're doing.
It's been really nice. We are in summer in New Zealand right now, and summer's coming to an end. So we're very curious what winter's going to look like. I hear Auckland is very wet in the winter, so we'll see how great it is when it's raining for days on end and everything around us is moist. But so far it has been a dream, but I have a feeling we have tougher roads ahead of us with winter coming up. But we're our camper van's going into the shop in a few weeks to get a new heater, get our battery upgraded to make sure that we can stay sustained off grid when there are a few days of rain and things like that. So we've got some plans to make some upgrades to her to hopefully be able to survive the winter in a camper van.
Yeah. Oh, and it'll be cozy in the winter. It'll be really cozy. Imagine all the rain lashing down, and your dogs, you and Cole and the dogs, and it'll just be so lovely. Oh, it's going to be gorgeous. This is a really personal question, but do you never get like sick of each other? Do you never like think, oh, I just need more space than this? Just get out of my space.
I have a lot of alone time in the camper because Cole works 10-hour days. So Cole leaves at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and then doesn't get home until like 5:30 in the afternoon. And my classes are only a few hours during the day here and there. So I get a lot of alone time in the camper. And then Cole is really only in the camper to sleep. So comes home, we make dinner, we take the dogs for a walk, we lay down, we watch something, and we go to bed. So during the week, Cole's really busy and I have the camper to myself. And then on the weekends, we go camping. So we're out of the house a lot doing things. But it's definitely not for every couple. You have to really be okay with being in each other's space very often. Like we have a single walkway. So someone has to be sitting down while the other person is cooking. You can't just be both up and about a lot. But so far we haven't gotten sick of each other. Where we have our days where we're a little more irritable and things like that. And I know for Cole it can be tough at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get ready, and it's dark and it's tight and it's cramped, and you haven't had your coffee yet and you're just trying to get out of the house. But overall, no, we get along really well. And like I said, we've done this before, so we were used to the tiny environment. But I think taking off and doing adventures and things like that and being able to open up our space to the outdoors really helps get us a little bit more space per se. But it works out for us, but it's definitely not meant for everyone.
Have you met Randy and Suzanne? Have you come across Randy and Suzanne on the Slack group?
No, I have come across them because I'd asked about a physical address because I was curious how that was going to work out for us, not having a permanent location. And it was a little bit sketchy here and there of like, oh, we're just going to use the Airbnb address, and oh, I'll just use the school's address. But we got a post box. So I mentioned that to them, and that's what they said they do as well. But no, I need to reach back out to them and see
they're lovely.
whereabouts they are and where they're traveling to.
They'll be able to give you so many tips because they've been doing
Yeah.
this a while now. I think they've been doing it for nearly over 2 years.
Nice.
They moved from Canada and they're full-time living in their RV. But yeah, so I think you could swap tips with them. So, and they're gorgeous, such a gorgeous couple.
Oh, I bet they're probably on the South Island. We haven't made it there yet, but everybody's like, get to the South Island as soon as possible.
Oh, so where are you? First of all, remind me again what Cole's doing for a job.
Cole is a orthopedic, nope, so prosthetics and orthotics was their career before we left the US, and making legs, and that's prosthetics more, but making assisted devices for limbs,
Right.
essentially is what it is.
Okay.
So that's over in Auckland, and that was what they were doing before we left the US, and absolutely loved it, and was very fortunate that we were able to find a job in it when we got over here. And so far it's just been absolutely loving it. Great crew of people. There is not a prosthetic or orthotics school in New Zealand, and Cole didn't go to school either, but that also means there's a skill shortage for that career. So Cole actually works with primarily people from other countries. There's a few Kiwis in there, but there's someone from England, Malaysia, just South Africa, like just a melting pot of people that they get to work with. So they're also exposed to a lot of other cultures over there. So
Nice.
it's a very nice and rewarding job.
Yeah, I bet. It's not something you think of, is it, when you come over? You think, oh, I wonder if I'll be able to get a job making, other people limbs for people. It's not something it's not one of those jobs that you think about, is it?
No, and apparently it's a pretty lucrative, like it's a business that's doing well in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I'm assuming because it's an island country, so not a lot of things it's not easy to import things from other places. But yeah, Cole met with the CEO as a part of the job interview process, and he was just reassuring of, there are government contract and things like that, but he, said that, business is doing well, and they have a couple of different locations around the country. So we're hopeful that when I graduate school, I can kind of look for jobs in those different locations, and Cole will be able to potentially transfer so that we can go wherever my career might take us. But it was very fortunate that Cole was able to get into the field that they wanted to get into, and that the job has been so great, and the working environment is so different here. Then Cole's like, I can't wait for you to start working so that you can experience it. The holiday days that you get right off the bat here, I think it's something like 21 holidays that you get, plus like 10 sick days, and you get this and you get that, and they have a focus on employee health and mental health and well-being and things like that, which was one of the driving forces for us to come to New Zealand, was the work-life balance, and actually caring about your employees. And so when Cole was going through the employment contract for this job, we kept being shocked, like, oh my gosh, can you believe this? Oh my gosh, can you believe that? So it was quite a shock, the difference in the working environment in the US and Cole's experience in the working environment here so far.
That's good to hear. So you okay, I'm going to go back to the camper. So are you in one place at all times? So
no.
Do you have to keep moving around, or have you got like a place that you always stay in?
No, we have to move around. So there's some like freedom camping laws. So we're self-contained, which means that we can freedom camp. And like I said, New Zealand is very accessible to that, but not as much in the city environments like Auckland. But basically you can stay most places for 2 nights. And then you have to vacate by the third morning at 9 a.m. So we're moving every 2 days to somewhere.
Yes.
And so we've done a few scouting missions of places. Like last night we were parked in like an industrial area with some, businesses and things like that. We'll find like a nice flat area to park for 2 nights and we'll stay there. And then usually like today was moving day. So I did the dumping of things, and then I will, after we're done with this call, go find the next place that we're going to stay at. So we have a couple of locations around Albany that we'll frequent.
Yeah.
But you have to move every 2 days, and you can't come back to the same place within a fortnight. So
Right. Got it.
we are
Yeah.
very mobile. My goal would be to find somewhere to stay stationary. Like when we get in Sunday evening until Thursday evening, I would like to be stationary and not have to worry about moving around. But and it's just going to come with growing our network of people and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking before we got on this call at land for rent and land for lease and things
That's
like
what
that.
I was
Because
thinking. Yeah.
yeah, because we don't mind paying for a place to stay. Obviously, we want to compensate wherever we go, but we don't need anything. So we don't need power. We don't need access to facilities or anything like that. We really just need a flat place to park the van and to be able to walk our dogs. So I'm hoping long term we'll be able to find somewhere where we can stay stationary Sunday to Thursday and then we take off on the weekends. But for now, we move twice a week. I move on Tuesday and then we leave on Thursday. We come back somewhere on
Yeah.
Sunday, and it's just a nice little cycle. But we stay so busy throughout the week. It's really not terrible. It's just about finding a place where we're not disturbing other people. So if we go into a neighborhood, we like to make sure that there's wide roads and that we're not parked right in front of someone's house, or if we are, that they have like a privacy fence up so they're not just looking at our camper. And then we keep all of our curtains shut. So really the only movement you'll see from us is taking the dogs out for a walk or something. So
Yeah.
we try to be very considerate and polite in the areas that we can. We take all of our rubbish with us and things like that. And
Yeah.
we want to take care of the environment around us, not pollute it. So we're very conscious of our footprint in the places that we go.
I think you would be the perfect house guest, the perfect camper guest. And that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, you could just do with someone with a lot of, not even a lot of land, just a piece of land that they're going to, get some income from and let you stay there for. It'd be perfect for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just 4 nights a week. You got us and the dogs, and
Yeah.
like I said, we're fairly quiet.
Yeah. No.
But I will find it. So far, it just gives us a way to see the area. But for now, it's working out.
Is there like a community of other camper people that, I don't know what you call them, like campers, like freedom campers, or?
I'm sure there is. I'm on a couple of different Facebook groups, and then we also are members of the NZMCA, which is the New Zealand Motor Home and Caravan Association. So there's like a membership to that, and they have parks, like NZMCA parks around the country that you can stay at for very cheap, like $5 per person per night. And they're nice and safe and secure. There's not one super close by in Auckland. And then they also have things called like popover properties or parkover properties, which is something that we're interested in doing, which is where you kind of just, someone has land and they will rent it to you for X amount of time. There's just not something super conveniently located to where we are, but there are two that I want to try out. So that is a community that we're a part of. And then I'm on a couple of different like wolfing Facebooks, like working while traveling kind of Facebook groups and things like that, which a lot of backpackers and caravanners are a part of. But we, when we go places over the weekend, you see other camper vans, even now, even with summer ending, there's just people that show up and you chat, you say hello, but we're all nomads and moving around. So it's not like you'll run into the same people again if you don't exchange information or anything like that. But it is a very warm and welcoming community for sure.
Yeah. And there's just something about it that's just really, really appealing, just having that freedom to move around wherever, you're not being stuck in one place. I love it. My grandma used to work on a fairground, and I think that's where it's in my blood, that feeling of just wanting to be always like on the move. I love it. It's just so attractive to me. I could do it tomorrow, but it gets harder when you've got kids and
Mhm.
stuff and, internet, and you need this and you need that. And you don't, do you? You don't need all those things, but you tell yourself you do.
Mhm.
That's what I was saying at the beginning of the call. I think, especially the older you get, you've got to keep your eye on that, because the older you get, you start thinking, "Oh no, I need that. Oh no, I need that," and you don't. You just don't. And
I mean, they're creature comforts. It's, we don't shower in the camper, just because it's a tiny shower, and I'm 5'10", 176 centimeters. So it's a tight space. So we have gym memberships that we go shower. So it is one of those comforts that one day we were at the beach and it started raining, and we were coming back to the camper and it was cold and I was wet, and I was like, I just want to take a hot shower.
yeah, yeah,
And we turned on the hot water heater and I tried to take a shower, but then I'm like, well, now I'm using all of our water to take the shower. So there are moments where you don't have those same creature comforts that you would have in a house. It's one of those compromises that we make, but I mean, yeah, there are things that we have to sacrifice to be in this lifestyle that, it can be difficult at times. Like, we don't have Wi-Fi when we go places. So me being in school, and some of my teachers, the test is only open from Friday morning until Saturday night. And that's the main part of when we're gone. So we will go somewhere, and if that place doesn't have Wi-Fi, we're then walking to, the closest town to go to a cafe or something like that to get Wi-Fi so I can take my test for school. We were looking into, I just found out that the NZA has a partnership with Wireless Nation, which offers mobile Wi-Fi. So we will potentially look into something like that, just because it can be difficult to do my school stuff when we're on the road. But it also is nice to not have internet, because it makes us watch our phone use and, video use and screen time. We're more likely to read or just talk and things like that. We don't get as sucked into our devices since we don't have Wi-Fi. So it comes as a balance.
Another thing that sounds bliss, actually. So are you happy? I mean, you look happy.
We are very happy. Yes. It was very scary getting over here. Cole's visa was denied at one point. There was a moment where one of our dogs might not be able to come with us because of a flight restriction. It was very tumultuous leaving the US. We weren't sure if we were going to make it. But we got here, and since we've gotten here, it's been one of those moments where everything happens for a reason. It's worked out the way it was supposed to work out. We're still very much in that honeymoon phase, which I try to remind myself, and I try to say as well, because I don't ever want people to think that it's just, oh, it's so easy when you get here.
Yeah.
But so far it's really great for us. And looking back on the things that are happening in the US, I'm just very thankful that we were able to make it when we did, and that we are living this life that a couple of years ago we could only dream of, living in a camper van while working and going to school and traveling around a absolutely stunning country that is New Zealand. So it feels very blissful right now, but like I said, I'm sure things will wear off and rain will come, and we're going to be over here wet in our camper, just like, oh man, I wish I had a hot shower right about now.
Do you know what? Yes, there will be days that you feel like that. Obviously, we talk about this a lot, that it can hit you sometimes, and I think the fact that, because you've been here since February, I think you would have gone through it by now if you were going to have a big slump. So I think you're going to be
2 months,
all right.
Actually.
Yeah.
I just realized we've been here 2 months as of today.
Yeah, I think you're going to be absolutely fine. And you appear to me to be the sort of person that faces it as it comes to you and makes it happen. Just makes it work, just gets on with it and give yourself a solution. And I think you're going to be really, really happy. It's living your life.
As more and more we looked into New Zealand, and because I had my moments of like, is that the right country for us to go to? Because I got on Reddit. I don't know if you've ever been on the Reddit, but it is a very
I've heard about
dark place. But I wanted real life experiences of people in New Zealand, not the curated social media content. And so I got on Reddit, And there were so many moments where I was seeing things that were happening with the government over here that I was like, oh no, that's a little scary. Or, just different. The job market is really terrible in some places. In a lot of places right now for New Zealanders, the cost of living is really high. So as we were starting to make the move, some things started to shift over here that I was like, oh no, are we going to the right place? But more and more that I looked into the lifestyle and what we wanted long term, I knew that New Zealand was our place. We knew long term we want to be mobile and in a camper. We knew long term that work-life balance was important to us. A lot of people are leaving the country for higher salaries. We've done that. We've had the higher salaries. We've lived the life of working and prioritizing our career. That's just not where we're at in our life right now. So I had to reevaluate or continue to remind myself of what was important to us and why we were coming here, and then just kind of putting the other noise out of my head and just go with it and getting over here. And Cole got the job and I literally cried. And then we came to one of your coffee chats with Ben where he talked about how difficult it was to find a job in this market. And after we got off the call, Cole was like, well, now I see why you cried when I got the job. I didn't realize how tough the market was right now. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's scary. Yeah. And relying on one income, it was really important that we got a job. So that Cole got a job. So there was a lot of, times where I questioned specifically if we were making the right choice, but I just had to go back to those fundamental reasons of why we were doing it and why New Zealand was right for us, and just kind of trust the process. So it ended up so far working out for us.
Yeah, so far. I was going to say, yes, it is. Any regrets? Would you do anything differently? If you had to give advice to someone, would you think, oh, I would do this differently?
I think for me, what the process taught me the most was you can plan a lot, but you can't plan for everything. So being adaptable and not letting yourself get overrun when there's a setback. So like when Cole's visa was denied, it was one of those moments where it was like, oh no, are we even going to be able to go? And it was like, hey, just take a second, breathe, process, but then let's get back into it and figure out what to do about it. So you're going to face setbacks, but it's how you handle those setbacks that are going to really change the process for you. And if this is really something you want to do, you're going to find a way to do it. So I think more so my advice is just to roll with the punches, because I don't regret anything that we've done so far. It's worked out. Everything's worked out exactly how we've wanted it to. But that doesn't mean that it didn't come with its setbacks and its trials and tribulations along the way. But I'm a planner, so every time my plan fell through, it was a little heartbreaking of like, oh no, I thought I had this perfect plan in place and it wasn't. So being able to pivot and feel your feelings, but also like you gotta buckle up and get the things done. So just keep moving and keep persevering, and it'll work out.
Yeah, I love that advice. I love what you said about feel the feelings, but buckle up and just get it done. I think that's great advice, because we can get so sucked into, oh, well, this is it now, then this is all going wrong. It's obviously a sign and I've got to, and just get so caught up in it. I do. And I just think that's really good advice to remember, focus on your goal. And that's where you're going. So yes, the path may veer off a little bit, or there might be some boulders in your way. Climb over them and keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of roll with the punches and figure it out as it comes, and it'll really test your resolve to get it done and things like that. But it's in the end, it's been worth it for us, and I'm very happy that we're here, and we look like we have a really good path to residency and long-term staying in New Zealand. So that's really exciting for us as well. So we're doing it.
Yeah, you're doing it. That's right. And you did mention, and I'm going to let you go because I know you've got to shift your fan and get all your stuff.
Oh, you're okay.
But you did mention earlier in the call that you left the US because you didn't feel as if you fit in anymore. Do you feel as if you fit in New Zealand?
So far, yes. I was actually talking to, there's what they have a rainbow room here on campus and we were talking to some people, and one person has lived here their whole life. They're a queer person. And I was like, in the US, I always had to seek out other queer people to feel like I was in a safe space, people to understand me and accept me and love me and all of those things. But I don't feel that here in New Zealand. Everyone we've talked to has, especially being nomads, we run into a lot of people. There's never once that I felt uncomfortable talking to people. Everyone has been so welcoming and friendly and just willing to have a conversation. I've never once felt like I was being judged for my hair color or my queerness or my tattoos or any of those things. And I'm sure those people are everywhere, but overall, I have yet to feel unsafe or unwelcome anywhere. We've been in New Zealand, and now we've been quite a few places, at least on the North Island. So I can say everywhere we've been has felt very welcoming and safe and comfortable. And I don't feel those same needs to like seek out certain people in order to have that safety net and things like that.
Yeah.
So I felt very welcomed and comfortable here.
That makes me so happy. It's weird, Rachael, because you and I don't want to sound like blasé or naive, or I don't know what the word is, but it's what you expect. It's what you expect, you know?
You would
just
think so.
Be nice. Yeah. It shouldn't be like, oh, are you accepted, or do you feel safe? It should just be, you know? And so, it's
unfortunately, we were in a very queer friendly, and, I looked very normal where we lived with colorful hair, tattoos, and all of that stuff. But there were times where if you went too far off the beaten track and you ended up in the middle of nowhere of Oregon or Washington, you might feel a little unsafe, immediately. And you just feel the stares and the judgment and all of those things. Unfortunately, the US is not on a path to more acceptance currently. It's getting very segregated and unwelcome for a lot of demographics of people over there. So being here and just seeing how everyone kind of meshes together. Also, I was saying to someone the other day, I thought that the US was this melting pot of a place of people, but here I have two French instructors, an instructor from India. Like I have friends that are from China. Like I have experienced so much more culture being here in New Zealand than I ever did in the US. Cole being, coworkers with people from several different countries. Like we are immersed in so many different cultures here. And that has been so exciting for us to just be able to learn about different people and their backgrounds and their lives and things like that. We didn't have that exposure in the US. So it's been really nice I went to a Chinese indie rock band concert with one of my friends from school. And I was just like, this is something I probably never would have been able to do in the US.
Yeah.
So it's just really fun to be able to experience so much here.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. And I've got to say, you look so happy. You've got a gorgeous smile, and you just bring you lighten up when you talk about being in New Zealand. So I'm so happy that you're here with Cole and living this adventurous life that you've got. I'm going to be watching closely what happens, and just how I just know in my heart that you're going to make it work. I can just tell you those sort of people that will just make it all work for yourselves and bring this ray of light to New Zealand. So thank you so much, and thank you for being part of the community and being so honest and open. And I always get worried about asking questions to people, like that. I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, but also I don't want to make myself look like a complete idiot who doesn't know what she's talking about. So I get nervous about asking questions such as, do you fit in being queer in New Zealand? Do you fit in? Because I don't want to put you in an awkward position. So I really appreciate you being so gentle and answering that so openly and honestly. I really appreciate that.
It's been very different here feeling like we can just openly talk about our experiences. Just people gravitate towards. Cole and I both have shared that we have the same experience where people want to come talk to us about US politics because they're so crazy right now. And, for a lot of people that would be annoying, but for us, it's, it gives us that ability to discuss with people who are looking at it through a different lens than us and just seeing different people's takes on things. And, people ask us about our experiences in different aspects, not just politics, but as queer people and in the US and all of that stuff. Like and I just love talking about all of it. And it's like, we're fairly open books about everything. So
yeah. Oh,
love talking about all of it.
Yeah. Oh, I really appreciate you, Rachael. I really do. And thank you so much for joining me on the podcast and sharing your story. Cannot wait to see. I want a picture of that piece of land when you find it and you're there.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll do a catch up with you.
Yes, the Slack group has been so instrumental in learning the things about coming over here. It was a really great resource. The podcasts are just, even when it's not people coming from the US, even coming from the UK and other places, just being able to talk to other people who are going through the same thing, and then getting on the Slack channel and seeing people talk about their aspiring dreams or people who just made their dream come true by being here. It's just such a great place to share in all of that. And I'm on the other side of it now. And I love being able to tell people like, oh no, your feelings are valid. You're going to feel every feeling under the sun, or this is my advice on X, Y, or Z, based on our experience. So it was really nice to be able to get all of that from the community, but I'm also really enjoying now giving that back to the community. And I am really thankful that you invited me on the podcast because it was something that helped me a lot. So I hope that it can help someone else.
Thank you so much, Rachael. Okay. You get on with your move now.
You got it. Have a good day, Liz.
Okay. I'll see you soon. Bye, darling.
Bye. Bye.
No.
Imagine this. You're a high school teacher in America. You live in Philadelphia. You've worked as an English literature teacher for 20 years, but you are desperate to move to New Zealand. So you make the move with your husband and your child and you go to Whangarei at the top of the North Island and you get a job in a private school there. Surely everything will be perfect. You're in New Zealand.
I literally had just sent my resignation in that morning to the school district, and I emailed the head of the department at Honeymoon and I said, I was just wondering, like, what is my schedule going to be like? And he said, and I thought he was joking, but he was not. He's like, oh, we're going to give you a year 7, a year 8, year 9, 10, and 11. I had to read it a couple times and I almost broke into tears. When I realized he was being serious, I was like, wait, I thought...
In this week's show, you're going to meet Mandy. Mandy moved to New Zealand, to Whangarei, to start a whole new life as a teacher in New Zealand. And this week, she's going to share with you how that dream turned out.